Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, excuse me, for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I'll have a link in the description down below, and you can check it out itself. When it comes to Luigi, Luigi's often known as Mario's brother and all that stuff, but he's always been sort of put, in a way, kind of put into the side though. Although he's been, in the series, like Super Mario Brothers and so forth, it wasn't until sort of the release of games like Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island where Luigi kind of felt like he was sort of being forgotten. In that game, Baby Luigi had to be rescued by Baby Mario. Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars. Luigi's somewhat mentioned, but is not playable in that game. To even Super Mario 64, a classic, don't get me wrong, in terms of 3D platform and in a way, kind of the granddaddy of 3D platform. But at the same time, he kind of was not even mentioned or even shown, even though there were reports that were talks about a two-player mode back then, but they couldn't do it or anything like that, to even not make an appearance in Super Mario Sunshine. And before Luigi's Mansion came out, though, he did star in his own game called Mario is Missing, but that was more like an educational game and so forth, though. It wasn't until around 2001 when the GameCube was, being shown and all, and one of the games they showed off was called Luigi's Mansion, a game that starred, Luigi himself as the main attraction, as this is a game where he basically explored a haunted mansion looking for his brother Mario and so forth. And while not everyone was a fan of it, though, it gained a following in a way, and I played a little bit of that one, and that one kind of felt like Nintendo's take on what the original Resident Evil was, minus, gore and all that stuff. It had, Nintendo charm and so forth. Well, apparently they did that. Apparently it did well enough for them to do a sequel, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, when that was introduced for the Nintendo 3DS, developed by Next Level Games, famous for the Mario Striker, and of course the Punch-Out for the Wii as well. And that game did very well and sold very well on the Nintendo 3DS. So when it became going around rumors that Luigi's Mansion 3 was going to happen and so forth, for some people that was kind of like, yeah, they wanted to see that game happen. And when it was officially shown, people were excited about it. So having invested a couple days or weeks into the game, I will honestly have to say that this definitely is a favorite game of 2019 for me, even though there are a couple quirks I'm not exactly a big fan of. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off first with the pros. And we'll start off with the visuals. And I honestly have to say, the visuals look nice. It's just everything about the game looks great, ranging from the almost like destructible environments that Luigi can do, using the poltergeist or the vacuum and all that stuff, to just watching the expression on his face every time he gets shocked. Like if he opens up a closet and something pops out, he'll give that impression and all that stuff. It kind of, in a way, and I kind of do agree with this though, you kind of get sort of a Disney Pixar vibe out of it, and that's definitely not a bad thing. So visually speaking, the graphics look good in this game. Definitely, regardless if you're playing it docked or undocked. Next thing I do want to talk about is the gameplay, and the gameplay follows approach very similar to basically like the past Luigi Mansion games. There are a couple new things they added into it. Couple of things is, one, they added this plunger gun. Again, I forgot the name of it though, where you use this to basically excuse me, you use it to basically, like if there's something you can't open, you could use it to open doors or break furniture, to even take out say ghosts that have armor and all that stuff. So that comes in handy. The other one is, of course, the slam feature, where every time you suck up a ghost though, you'll see a little circle meter And when it's like, for example, if the ghost is going this way, you want to go this way and sort of pull on the ghost. When that fills up, you hit the A button, and you basically can slam the ghost and do damage. You can also damage other ghosts in the process. In a way, to some degree, that's kind of similar to how it is in Ghostbusters, the video game, where you have to, when you capture the ghost through the your proton beam, you have to sort of slam it to knock it dizzy before you throw it into the containment trap. Obviously, you don't have a containment trap in basically Luigi's Mansion 3. And of course, Gooigi, and he's interesting though. I mean, he's basically like regular Luigi, but there are a couple of things though. His weakness obviously is that water is his weakness, and it will disintegrate if he touches water though, although you may have to wait a little bit to get him back and all. But he could go through objects, like if there's like a fence, he could slide right into it, and he could come in handy to help you in certain degrees. Like for example, there may be some furniture that you use the plunger to try to smash, but it might be too heavy. You activate Gooigi, and you can work together to break that furniture or obstacle that's sort of blocking your way. It's also worth pointing out, though, that you could play it in co-op and have one person play Luigi and another person playing Gooigi, though. And I like how they integrate him, especially in some of the puzzles in the game. And some of the puzzles, I will admit, are kind of clever. Some are kind of easy. Some, it took me a little while to eventually figure it out, though. But in terms of gameplay, it's fun. It has that Ghostbuster vibe. And on a side note, though, I know this is a long shot and this will never happen, but I would love to see a Ghostbusters and Luigi Mansion crossover if that ever happens, though. And last but not least, I do want to talk about the multiplayer. And I didn't play the multiplayer part that is co-op. Instead, I played the online part that's called the Scarescape. It's worth pointing out that can be played online or offline though, and I will say I like the idea. I mean, some of this is basically you and several other Luigis have to hunt ghosts on certain floors and all that stuff. Sometimes you have to help out other Luigis that might be trapped, like a rug might trap them or a door might slam them and so forth. So you have to kind of work together away. It's kind of and I will say the multiplayer though, the Scarescape, at least the one I played though, can be fun, to a certain degree, that is. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2, which are the cons. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't I get started with the cons? And there are 3 cons I could think of in regards of Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, as I mentioned in the pros, I talked about the multiplayer, particularly the Scarescraper, and I talked about how fun that can be, and it is still an enjoyable experience. However, like I mentioned, there is to a certain degree, and unfortunately, it only works when you basically have everyone pretty much working together. Based on my time with the multiplayer, though, and again, this is based on my time, though, I'm sure others may have different experience than I have, it may not always be a fun experience. There are times when you're get trapped, and there may be times where some of your allies or some of your other players may not help you at all. I've had cases where some players just simply quit and all that stuff, meaning that there are certain rooms or certain features you could not have access to unless you have other players directly involved as well. So, and of course there's the voice chat, which for this kind of mode, it does scream voice chat though, and unfortunately, as far as voice chat goes, let's just say Nintendo doesn't have the best options for voice chat, especially since you have to do, the voice chat app through your phone and all that stuff, so that may not sit well with everyone, to be exact. So, I mean, again, multiplayer can be fun, but it only works when everyone works together, at least as far as the Scarescraper mode goes, though. So, it can be a hit and miss to a certain degree. The next thing I do want to talk about is the save feature in the game. And I will say, as far as the save feature goes, it's not bad. It's basically an autosave feature. where you basically, every time you like go into another room or something like that, or go through the elevator, it automatically saves your game. That's all fine and all, but there is sort of a catch, at least based on my time with the game. Basically, in order for it to work, you have to like wait like I think about 10 seconds and all for the feature for it to kick in, though. And I do wish to a certain degree that they had a manual save in the game. Again, the autosave isn't bad or anything like that, but it would have been nice to have a manual save option in Luigi's Mansion 3. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about the camera angle, in which Luigi's Mansion 3, just like the first and the second one, it uses a fixed camera position, kind of similar to other games that have used it, like, say, like, well, to some degree, like, say, the classic Resident Evil, which at the time used the pre-rendered backgrounds and used the fixed camera and so forth, which is not, again, I haven't had problems with the fixed camera, but it might be for some people, and sometimes aiming can be a little bit difficult in the game, especially due to the fixed camera. If there is one bright spot with the game having the fixed camera, at least, is that unlike, say, a game like, say, the classic Resident Evil, which uses a fixed camera, you don't have to worry about conserving ammo and so forth. So if you miss a shot with like the plunger and all that, though, you can still line up and try again and aim your shots or something like that. So you don't have to worry about ammo or anything like that. So it at least relieves some of the pressure in terms of when you're using a game with a fixed camera. That said, I would have liked if they had used a third-person perspective for a Luigi's Mansion game, for Luigi's Mansion 3. Maybe in the near future they'll do something like that, but again, like I said, I don't have a problem with the fixed camera as much as some people might, but the fixed camera may be an issue for some people out there. Overall, I do want to say Luigi's Mansion 3 is definitely a fun game, though. The gameplay is enjoyable and all that stuff. Like I said, you get a Ghostbuster vibe in it, though. Some of the puzzles are clever, some could be easy, some require a little bit of thinking and all that stuff. The visuals of the game looks nice, from that have that Pixar style look to it, to just watching Luigi's impression and so forth. And multiplayer, of course, can also, like I said, can be fun. But at the same time, multiplayer can only work when everybody is working together. The save feature, while it works, would have liked to see a manual save option. And, of course, the fixed camera view is not going to be for everyone. Some people may not like that kind of approach. Like I said, I don't have an issue with that, but others may, though. But that said, Luigi's Mansion is still a fun game, though. It's definitely a recommendation to pick up, especially if you're a fan of the first two that came out on the GameCube and the 3DS. And if somehow a Luigi's Mansion 3 or 4 would ever happen, if that does happen, I personally think Next Level Game and Nintendo, assuming Next Level Game develops the next one like they did with Luigi's Mansion 3, I would love to see maybe take a little page maybe out of Resident Evil 2 and 3 and have it take place maybe at a haunted village or a haunted city and all. I mean, imagine if, like, say, New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey were to be taken over by ghosts and all that stuff. You kind of get a little bit of a mixture of a Resident Evil and Ghostbuster vibe out of it. That would be nice. And if Next Level Game ever does another game for the Switch, I'm hoping it's a brand new entry in the Punch-Out series. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Punch-Out on the Wii, and I would love to see that ported over to the Nintendo Switch, but I would also love to see them do a brand new Punch-Out game, maybe with all new fighters. I think Disco Kid gave us an idea what they can do, and I would love for them to put some new fighters in that game as well, although I would be down with the idea of bringing out classic ones, especially maybe some from the Super Punch-Out game, like Dragon Chan, Mask Muscle, Nauseous Prince, if I'm saying his name correctly, and of course Rick and Nick Bruiser. That would be nice. But either way, we'll have to wait and see if that ever happens. But overall, this is definitely a recommendation, especially if you own a Nintendo Switch, or if you were a fan of the first Luigi Mansion, or the second, or Luigi Mansion Dark Moon. Okay, this concludes my video review of Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch? Is it a fun game? Do you think it's a Game of the Year contender? Is it worth picking up for the Nintendo Switch in any way? Do you think in any way it's better than, say, the first one or Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon? Excuse me. Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to. And feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!